This simple tool will massively improve your mini painting and understand your paints better. Grab a Tupperware box, preferably with a lid. Take some kitchen paper or use a sponge. Take some baking paper or baking sheet without oil. And if you're going to use it often, take a scissors and pre-cut a bunch of sheets using that. A quick note, a Tupperware container with a flat bottom is best for the liquid distribution. Open the box and save the lid. I don't have any copper here, but put a piece of copper at the bottom. I use about 3 sheets of thickness for the paper or a singular sponge. Take a piece of the kitchen paper and cut it to the same size as the container. Place it in the container and make it fit. This doesn't have to be perfect, of course. Take some regular old water from the faucet and pour a bit of it in the container over the kitchen paper until it is thoroughly wet. Press the paper down once wet and keep adding water until it is fully submerged. And if you have some divots, simply cut a bit of extra kitchen paper and add it to the rest. Once you've got this in place, you can add a right size of baking paper on top of the kitchen paper. Press it down so you can extract any air bubbles underneath the baking paper. And now you can start adding paint to your wet palette. You can use it with all kinds of acrylic paints. The baking paper lets through a little bit of moisture that will help you with keeping your paint usable if you will paint for longer. The wet palette will also help with thinning as you'll learn visual cues about coverage, because you will see the actual viscosity of the paint. Oh, and the piece of copper you've put in there will help in preventing mold from growing in your palette. I use a wet palette to thin all kinds of acrylic paint from Citadel, Vallejo, Army Painter, AK and more. It will help you understand thinning and mixing paints better, as you can use the paints longer. And it's a great way to learn to experiment with mini painting. Make use of water, mediums, and retardants to see what recipe you can concoct. Just make sure you swap out the sponge or kitchen paper every so often. And if you have the cash to spend, I use an Army Painter wet palette, which is great in use. If you feel your paper or sponge is getting dry, simply add a bit of water. And with every new project, you can simply switch to a new baking sheet. And when you're done, you can seal the container, put it in a fridge, keeping your paints usable for up to 5 days. And that is why I believe